Hey guys, so this is Tadalafil. If that name doesn't ring a bell with you, the brand name is actually Cialis, and I already know what you're thinking. When the clinician overseeing my TRT suggested adding Cialis, I honestly thought, why? I already knew what Cialis was for, or at least I thought I did. As it turns out, I was only about 20% right. Yes, intimacy is a part of health. Confidence and relationships are a part of health. But as I started researching Tadalafil, I realized doctors were interested in it for a lot more reasons beyond that. So when I say Cialis, your first thought probably wasn't, oh yeah, heart health or brain health or healthy blood vessels. That's certainly not the first thing that sprang into my mind. This little pill has quietly become part of my daily routine, not because I was looking for what most people associate with it, but for reasons I honestly didn't know about at the time. But after talking with him and then digging in and doing a little bit of my own research, I found out that there are several reasons that a lot of TRT clinics are now including low-dose tadalafil in their protocols, and most of them have nothing to do with the bedroom. If you watched my last video, you know that I switched from weekly intramuscular testosterone to daily subcutaneous injections. What I didn't get into, because I didn't want to make the video too long or confusing, is that my doctor also recommended at the time something else, a low daily dose of tadalafil. So first thing to say right up front is that it's worth saying I changed two things roughly at the same time. I switched my injection protocol and I started taking tadalafil. So if I tell you I noticed certain benefits, I can't honestly say which change deserves the credit. So this isn't a controlled study. It's just one guy on YouTube sharing his experiences while also looking at what the research says. So there's a quick distinction here because this trips people up. Tadalafil isn't Viagra. Viagra, sildenafil, is short-acting. It's in and out of your system in just a matter of hours, whereas tadalafil is long-acting. So at a low daily dose, it just stays at a steady level. So now both of my daily changes work the same way. Steady levels, all day, every day, instead of one big peak followed by a slow decline. That's the current strategy on both fronts. TRT, and sildenafil. When Viagra was originally being studied, researchers weren't actually looking for erectile dysfunction, ED, drug. They were studying blood vessels and circulation. Then what happened was the participants started reporting a completely unexpected side effect that kept popping up. Needless to say, that side effect ended up becoming the headline. But what often gets lost is that the blood vessel story never stopped being true. I don't want to get lost in the weeds. If you enjoy pharmacology, there are plenty of videos out there that explain PDE5 enzymes, nitric oxide pathways, and all the chemistry. That is not this video. I just want to talk about what I have noticed after beginning my new low dose. So when I was 20, I never once thought about blood flow or what or where my prostate was. But at 62, apparently it has become one of my hobbies. So I'm not going to dwell on the very first benefit. You already know what it does here. Blood flow, sex, all of that. It's real. It's just not the interesting part of this video. So I'm going to get straight to benefit two, which is your prostate. As men get older, the prostate often enlarges, and that usually means a weaker stream, getting up at night, suddenly having frustrating urgency to get to a bathroom. And for that, this one's well established. Tadalafil relaxes the smooth muscles around your bladder and prostate, and it's actually prescribed at the same low dose just for this. That's not a maybe, that is an approved use. Benefit number three, blood vessel health. Think of your arteries as plumbing that expands when it needs to. As we age, that flexibility isn't always what it used to be. Tadalafil helps blood vessels relax. That is the well-understood mechanism that's behind pretty much everything else on this list. Benefit number four is going to be heart health. One thing that's really exciting, there's a large study of men taking tadalafil showing meaningful lower rates of cardiovascular events. It showed an association, not proof, but the size and consistency of this finding was a big part of why I started taking it. Benefit 5 is brain health, and this is one of the ones where I want to actually slow down and be careful because it's the easiest one for us to all get our hopes up about. There's real research on blood flow to the brain and cognitive performance, and yes, some of it touches on dementia research. But this is all actually early stage science, it's not a treatment, and anyone telling you otherwise is getting ahead of what we actually know. I am mentioning it though because it's genuinely important to me. I've done a full video on a client and a friend and his struggle with dementia. I'm going to link that one below. And then there's benefit number 6, which is exercise recovery. This one is probably most relevant to what I do every day. With better circulation comes faster recovery. That's real research, as well as lean mass benefits. This is legitimately and well supported. Benefit number 7 is going to be insulin sensitivity, inflammation. There's also decent early evidence here, measurable markers from early research suggesting that Tadalafil may help improve the way your body responds to insulin while also lowering the markers of chronic inflammation. Those findings are interesting, but they are still in an area of active research. Another reason that more and more TRT clinics are starting to include low-dose Tadalafil has to do with estrogen. When you're on testosterone replacement, not every molecule of testosterone is going to stay as testosterone. Some of it's naturally getting converted to estrogen. That's normal. Men need estrogen. Healthy joints, bone density, mood, and libido, they all depend on having some estrogen. So the goal is not zero. The goal is the right amount. If your estrogen climbs too high, you can get water retention, breast tenderness, mood changes, and sometimes erection problems. Daily Tadalafil appears to improve the balance between testosterone and estrogen. The research on this isn't nearly as strong as it was for some of these other positive effects, though. And from what I've read, some physicians use it in this way. Others aren't as convinced that it has a meaningful effect at all. So I wouldn't think of it as an estrogen medication. I think of it as a medication that needs more research in the area. There's going to be some side effects to mention. Headache, usually from dehydration, drink more water. Reflux, especially on an empty stomach. Take it with food. Some back pain, again, usually hydration thing. And then there's nasal congestion for some guys. Almost all of this shows up early and it tends to improve over time. Then there's who shouldn't take this. This part matters more than any benefit I just listed. There's one interaction you really need to remember. If you're taking nitrate medications for chest pain or heart disease, things like nitroglycerin, this is absolutely a conversation for your doctor and you before you ever take a pill. Both medications act by widening your blood vessels. Together, they can cause your blood pressure to drop to dangerously low levels. That's one reason this isn't something you should be ordering online from some guy on YouTube who gave you a link. Come on, guys. This is your life. I am not a doctor. I'm not qualified to tell you whether this is right for you or not. What I am qualified to tell you is what my experience has been. And I know that I'm going to get asked what my dosage is, where I get it, etc. And I get contacted regularly by online pharmacies and clinics who would like me to send you their way. I'm not going to do any of that. What matters more to me than a commission is that you actually sit down with your own doctor and have a real conversation about whether any of this makes any sense for you at all. One thing I've learned about getting older is that good health is rarely about one magic answer. It's never just testosterone or weights or protein and nutrition. It's usually a handful of good decisions repeated consistently over time. So if your doctor has ever brought this up to you for reasons that had nothing to do with what you thought they would be, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you're on TRT or you're considering it, here are 2 links that might help you on your journey. Talk to your doctor about it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.